I'm going
This
to put
call is
myself in
being
mute.
recorded.
Hello, welcome to You Gotta Believe episode number 29. Every week, time marches on. And this is titled Term Abroad in Vegas. And the first thing I'd like to do is thank God for allowing me to reach this moment in time. And I want to dedicate tonight's call to Eric Worre, an ambassador for network marketing and the human race. So let's talk about perspective. I thought about this as a term abroad. I remember my son had the good fortune to spend a term abroad from University of Florida over in Rome, Italy. And he had a heck of a time in Rome, Italy. And, it gives you different perspective when you get away from your own college, your own company, like Vantage, and you learn what the other people are doing. You see everything from a little different perspective. And it was amazing at this GoPro event. There were over 16,000 people there from all over the world. People were speaking all kinds of different languages, and they were from all different companies. And the funny thing about it was not allowed to discuss your company. As a matter of fact, I had brought my hat and my scarf and my pen, and I luckily read the introduction that I got on email from Eric Worre, and it said you can't wear any logo items. So I didn't have my scarf or my hat anymore or my pen because no one was allowed to talk about their company, and you weren't allowed to recruit. And if you recruited, you were actually asked to leave, and no refund was given. They found some literature lying around promoting somebody, and they said they were going to find him. They announced it from the front, and they were going to get him out of there. And they've had at least one person that's been thrown out of the meeting every year. So they're very serious about it. And what that did was, it was an overall feeling about business and human nature and network marketing in general, and it didn't have the flavor of our own company. And that's a really good thing to do once in a while, and it was very worthwhile, but it doesn't have the camaraderie or the feeling of a giant family reunion that an elite academy or the convention has. So although I love the event and I recommend it highly to everyone, it's no substitute for going to one of our events. You got to do both. And we were very well represented, by the way, by Skip Campbell, who did one of the presentations. Now, the presenters had to make $1 million a year or more, not volume, but actual income of $1 million or more to be able to give a speech on this, on the dais of this conference. To be up there at all, you had to be a millionaire from network marketing. And they had one guy from a company called Juice Plus. I only found out because we Googled his name. Nobody announced who they were with. We had the top earner from Mary Kay, and we had this top earner from Juice Plus, and he made an astounding $650 million a month in volume. They didn't say how much he made, but his volume was $650 million a month, which is 3 times more than LifeVantage volume in the whole year. So that was amazing. This guy was from Sarasota, Florida, near where I live. I just think that the whole event was great. The perspective of looking at the industry overall, how other people do it, how they all feel about it. You got that feeling of commonality. You got the feeling of people talking about the same problems, same ideas about recruiting and how to keep a positive attitude and handle the rejections you may get. I thought it was really wonderful. The people that stood out to me the most were Eric Worre himself, who, by the way, has set this thing up, and it's the 7th year in a row that he's run it. And last year, there were far less people, and this year it was, I believe, 16,000. I want to say last year he said it was something like 8,000. It's been growing every year. We actually had 700 people from LifeVantage there this year, and last year we only had 200. So the growth is significant, and if you have something that is very worthwhile, it's going to grow, and that's what we're seeing here. So we had Eric Worre. I think these people are kind of not trained as, but have become experts in human nature, kind of psychoanalysts. We had Eric Worre, Mel Robbins, and Tony Robbins were the people that affected me the most. And then, of course, we had Skip Campbell. And did you know that Skip Campbell was in the Air Force and he was in demolition of bombs? He was, maybe that's why he has such a cool sense of humor now, because he used to work, disabling bombs, bomb disposal. So that would, I guess, give you a definite sense of humor. Now, he gave a really cool talk. He said that he sees dead people. Remember that movie years ago where they said that the kid was seeing dead people, but the dead people didn't know they were dead? And it turned out that Bruce Willis was the psychoanalyst, and he was actually dead. You find out at the end, but he didn't know. He was trying to psychoanalyze this kid who said he sees dead people, but he, in fact, was a ghost himself. And what Skip Campbell was saying is that he sees dead people every day, people that get up, go to a job they hate, go back home, eat dinner, watch a little TV, go to bed, get up, go to the job they hate, and they're kind of like dead people, but they don't know it. And he was talking about how you want to do something you really love and something that can free you up from the monotony and boredom of a unfulfilling life. You need to go after your dreams. So that was the crux of his talk when he said, I see dead people. And it was really good. He was funny, he was witty, he was interesting, and very well accepted. People really liked him. So right now, I want to go through some of my notes. I took 105 notes, and I want to go through some of the ones that I reviewed today that I thought really made a lot of sense. The first thing was that you can only control your own attitude and activity. In other words, everything comes from yourself. You have to have a proper attitude, and then you have to express it. If you have a great attitude, but you never tell anybody, and you don't do anything about it, it's not going to do anything. If you don't have a great attitude, but you have high activity, that's not going to do anything. So that is really key. Then there was somebody that was excellent who talked about being aggressive. And he said that the key to this is to really go out there and, outwork other people and go ahead and really be aggressive with your business in a positive way. And what he said was you have to attack the day every day. You can't just attack the day, which I think is a really good expression, attack the day, but you got to do it every day. So you need to be aggressive, but you have to be consistent. You have to keep working. Another person said, don't go through life, grow through life. In other words, if you're not growing, you're dying. And this was a theme that many of the people talked about, that growth and personal growth was absolutely necessary, both for yourself and your future, but also your business. And that was another thing that was said. You're either building it or losing it. You have to have momentum, because if you're not building and growing, then things are withering and your momentum is gone. And you can't coast, because the only thing that you can do when you coast is coast downhill. You can't coast up a mountain. So don't coast at all. Coasting doesn't keep you flat. It has you going downhill. This is a really good thing, and I found this to be really the crux of what Tony Robbins spent 4 hours with us Friday night straight. And I was very tired by that time because of the traveling on Thursday and getting in bed late Thursday night. And I really didn't have a lot of energy. But he came on, and all of a sudden, I get all this energy because he has an incredible amount of energy. He basically was saying that people are attracted to people with high energy level. Or another way of saying it is people are attracted to happy people. They want to be around people with high energy. They want to be around people that are happy. Who would you rather spend time with? A guy that's happy and very nice to talk to, or someone who's depressed and sad or complaining all the time? Obviously, one way to attract people, whether it's in friendship, your life, relationships, or business, is to promote a happy attitude. Be a happy person. Also, another point that he made, and I think it's very important, is that if your happiness comes from circumstances, you will never be happy. That means you can't be consistently happy if every day you're looking for something to make you happy. You have to make yourself happy by being very thankful for what you have and project a positive attitude. So don't wait for something great to happen to make you happy. Make yourself happy. Another point that was made was that every obstacle in life is truly an opportunity. And it's really interesting because they quoted a famous Roman general who talked about his obstacle was not an opportunity. The way he said it was, my obstacle is the way. In other words, whatever the obstacle was, he would use that to figure out how to overcome it, and that would be the way he would win. So that was a very big issue because we all have obstacles and we need to figure out what to do with them so we can get over them. Here's something that was very personally inspiring to me. How many years do you want to deal with emotional trauma? You will always have pain, and perhaps it's wrong to even get rid of it because pain is real. But you don't have to agree to be miserable. You can have the pain, but at some point you have to sit down and say, I will not be miserable. I don't want the misery anymore. The pain may still be there. Maybe it can even promote me to move ahead and, be something to stimulate me. But I'm not going to be miserable or be in misery. So that really hit me because, as I said on the call Sunday night when Mike Huey was interviewing me, I've gone through a really bad 2 years. I've tried very hard to overcome it, but I'm sort of hanging on to the misery. And I went to this conference, and this could happen to you too, whether it's the Lead Academy convention or this conference perhaps. But people like Eric Worre and Tony Robbins understand people so well. And what they were talking about and what this was about was an ability to get past bad things like my father dying, my divorce, having two of my dogs die, without really understanding why or what happened. So I have decided that I will feel some of this pain, but I will no longer have the misery. And that's a really good thing. So let's talk further about things that came up from other speakers and things I think are very important. One thing that was talked about was leadership. And the saying is that bad leaders are destroyed by crisis, where great leaders are improved by them. In other words, it's really another way of saying the obstacle becomes the way. If you cannot handle a crisis but only do well in great times, if you're only happy on good days, these are all different ways of saying the same thing. You have to present with good posture, was the way we used to say it in LifeVantage. You have to always have a positive attitude with strength from within. The Japanese call it your wa, which I believe is spelled W-A. It's kind of an aura you have about yourself. They believe it comes from your abdomen. That's the source of your power. I hope I'm explaining this right, but my readings of Japanese literature has taught me this. So it's all related to having a great posture, a great attitude, an incorruptible power, a feeling that whatever you decide to do, you'll do it, and whatever obstacle is in your way, you will break through it. And one of the people spoke about a puddle. Some people will complain about the puddle and walk around it. Some people will walk through it and complain, and other people will jump over the puddle and keep on going and enjoy jumping over it. That's the key. Leaders spend 95% of the time on the solution and only 5% on the problem. They look at the problem and then they get past it and they get the solution. One of the people speaking said something that I really think is great. They said the secret to living is giving. In other words, the more you make your life about helping other people, the easier it will be for you to be happy, and the easier it will be for you to relate to people. It will also be a great idea of what you should dedicate yourself to. Now let's talk about Mel Robbins. She is super cool, great woman. I'll tell you a little bit about her if you haven't seen her in the past. Mel Robbins and her husband decided, really it was her husband's idea, to open a restaurant. So they used the home equity on their home and they took their life savings and they opened a restaurant. And lo and behold, it did really well. So they decided we better expand and get a second restaurant. When they did that, the second restaurant tanked and it drew them in, so they lost everything. Well, she got furious with her husband. She was thinking they were going to get divorced. She kept on kind of harping at him and being upset all the time. She would stay in bed and not be able to get out of bed. She would kind of hide like a child in fetal position and would wrap the sheets around herself. And when the alarm went off, she'd put it off again and just wrap herself in the covers and not get out of bed. Well, one day she said, "This has got to stop. I got to get out of bed." So she decided to count down from 5 like a rocket launch. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off. And then she had this idea. What if every time I'm afraid to do something, or every time I'm too lazy to do something, or every time I think of something before I can decide not to do it, I count down from 5 and I go and do it? And she calls it the 5-second rule, and she believes it changed her life and it can change your life. And I believe she's right. She said that courage is the ability to do difficult and scary things, and you can use the 5-second rule to fight fear. Because if you decide that something should be done and you start counting 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you go do it, think what you can accomplish. She said the more you stop and think, the less likely you are to do it. There's a 5-second window between the things you know you should do and doing them. One other thing she mentioned was don't waste time worrying about things you can't control. Everybody always tells you that, but what if you could live like that? What if you stopped worrying and you became a warrior instead of a worrier? I always say that. Be a warrior, not a worrier. It's hard, though, but maybe the 5-second rule can help all of us in that regard. Again, the moment you have an instinct to act on a problem, you have 5 seconds to do it before your brain kills it. And for things to change in life, you have to change. Another big thing talked about in the conference by many people was personal responsibility and taking credit for whether you're doing well or not. In other words, look in the mirror, because if it's going to be, it's up to me. Now, these sayings may sound trite, but there's a huge amount of truth in them. How's this one? It's not what happens in life, it's what you do with it. Isn't that same thing that you can't wait for circumstances to make you happy? You have to be happy no matter what. The longest journey in life is from your head to your heart. How's this? This is great for network marketing. Say less to more people. Reach a lot of people, but tell them what's important. Don't go on and don't be boring or, bother people with, don't give them too much. A winner is a dreamer who never quits. And you can never beat a person who never gives up. Here's another thing that goes back to what I was saying about misery and pain. The past can hurt, but you can either run from it or learn from it. Here's a really great saying that somebody said his wife always says, "Nothing is easy, but who wants nothing?" I mean, that's a really good pun. Nothing is easy, but who wants nothing? Either you run your day or your day runs you. Here's another one. People don't need to believe in your business at first, but they need to know you believe in your business. In other words, people want to join your business if you believe in your business. It's more important that you have the positive attitude, the overall aura about you, that you present with great posture. You have a positive wa, as the Japanese would say, and the person looking at you doesn't understand LifeVantage. He may not understand how the business works, but he surely understands that you love LifeVantage, you have tremendous faith in it, and you understand it. So then he'll want to follow you. So that's how you can attract people, by showing how much you believe in your own business. I remember Rachel Saul taught that. I miss her a lot, by the way. That's Barbara's daughter, and she's taken a little hiatus from LifeVantage. But she had a whole thing that she was discussing about how it's not about the business, it's about how much you believe in it, and that's how you attract business partners. And when I heard this, I thought of her immediately, and it really is an interesting way of thinking about it. Success is going from failure to failure without a loss of enthusiasm. Isn't that saying the same thing over and over again? Just what we've been talking about. Fire your brain and hire your heart. We said that in a different way already as well. Now, these are from like 10 or 15 different people. So if they're all saying the same thing, maybe we should listen. Maybe we should take what they say, since we are in the company of people from all over the world, all different companies, all doing network marketing, and they're all saying the same thing in different ways, then maybe they really know what they're talking about. Perhaps we should listen to them. Perhaps we should change our lives the way they are showing us to do. I learned so much from all of this. I learned positive attitude. Circumstances cannot be relied on to make you happy. You have to be happy in yourself. Giving to others is more important than getting yourself. Here's another one. Trade expectation for appreciation. Don't expect everything. Try to appreciate what you have. If you have someone in your downline that just has an auto ship but is not getting more customers, appreciate them for using the product and don't expect too much of them. Expect a lot from yourself, perhaps, but don't necessarily expect from others. And don't get disappointed if your expectations are not met with other people. Now, Tony Robbins said something really interesting. He said failure is never due to a lack of resources. It's a lack of resourcefulness. You have enough resources. You have to be resourceful. If things don't go right, figure out how to fix it. He also said that the most important skill is influence. You must know what already influences another person and then use that to help teach them about LifeVantage. You can't talk someone into something using an approach that they don't respond to. Try to get to know the person and influence them in a way that they will respond to. A breakthrough is a moment in time where the impossible becomes possible. Change is automatic, but progress is not. If you sit around, things will change, but you have to actively change so you produce progress from your change. Now, Tony Robbins talked about 3 ways to grow your business. One is to get more clients. Another is to increase the number of client transactions. And the other is to increase the value of each transaction. It is amazing if you would increase each of these things by 10%, how much your business would grow. Try to get 10% more clients. Try to increase the number of times that they purchase products by 10%, and try to increase the value of the things they purchase by 10% or 20%. And wouldn't that be something? And you would sit back and say, my God, look at my business now. When you have your own business, you need a brand, and you need to help your clients better understand why you are unique and why your brand and your company will help them better. Somebody was asked in the midst of this whole meeting with the 16,000 people to promote their business, and what they talked about was how great they were and how great their business was. And they then asked everyone to raise their hands if they were impressed with that approach, and nobody raised their hands. The guy was very embarrassed, unfortunately. What was the right approach is telling someone what you're going to do for them, not how great you are. So remember, when somebody wants to get involved with your company, say, well, this will help you this way, that way, and this is why it's good for you. This is how I'm going to help you. I'm worried about you. Very, very important. Tony Robbins, I'm sorry if I'm going over a little bit tonight. Anybody that this is too long can can leave early if they want, but I'm going to continue through. We're getting close to the end. Tony Robbins talked about 6 human needs: certainty, variety, significance, connection and love, growth and contribution. The important thing was, he said everyone has these 6 needs, but each person values different ones to a greater or lesser extent. And the key to understanding other people is finding out which things they value more. Someone who values certainty would like to know that your business is stable and is not going to be going away. They would go in the stock market and buy something that goes up slightly incrementally but never goes down, or hopefully doesn't, and it's not a big risk. They just want to know it's always going to be there. People who value variety would rather have a stock that goes way up or down, and they're willing to take that ride on the roller coaster, or they want a business that's always changing and interesting and exciting. They would have a totally different approach that would be successful with them, one or the other. And then, of course, significance, connection, love, growth, contribution. You got to find out, the more you know about the people that you're pitching to or the ones that are working with you, the better you'll be able to find out how to reach them. Live in a beautiful state of mind every day, no matter what. This is another person saying the same thing that the first person did about don't wait for circumstance to make you happy, be happy anyway. Now, at the end of his talk, Tony Robbins talked about the tragedy of Robin Williams killing himself despite his incredible success story of being a comedian, having his own TV show, having his own movies, then getting an Oscar for doing a drama when he wasn't even doing it as a comedian, and yet he committed suicide. So the statement he made is really good. First, master the art of fulfillment, and then success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. If you are successful, learn how to value it and be satisfied. Now, there was someone who was the biggest distributor in Mary Kay worldwide, and what she said was that when people tell you you don't need money, she said, I don't want money so I can look at paper bills with dead presidents on them. I want to be able to do things. I want to be able to help more people. And as she said, if you have more, you can give more. You are entitled to live in the image of God. You are entitled to live a great life where you're comfortable, but you can also make your family and friends comfortable, and you can give great things to total strangers. So the more you have, the more you can give. What she does is she has her whole family over for Thanksgiving, not on Thanksgiving Day. They come the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, and they leave the Tuesday after Thanksgiving. And she makes enough money so she can do that. And I said, my God, isn't that wonderful? You know, it's really special. One of the great things about being wealthy is being able to share it. I remember Carrie Dickey donating $10,000 on the spot to one of the LifeVantage charities at the end of one of our elite academies. I mean, isn't it wonderful if you were able to do that? That is just tremendous. Be the CEO of your own life. Be in control. And another thing that was very interesting about self-responsibility is one guy said, you know, some nights I sleep really well, some nights I can't sleep. And the reason is that I always wonder what my team would look like if they did the same as I did today. So if you had a day where you didn't spread the word about LifeVantage at all, and you thought that everyone in your downline also didn't talk, what would happen to your team? On the other hand, if you did a lot about LifeVantage in a day, and you thought, oh, I hope my team's doing all of that, then you could sleep well and you would feel good. So I'm to the end of our conference for this evening. Sorry I went over, but I kind of get carried away with the excitement of this. I recommend highly that everyone goes to every Elite Academy and convention. But if you can afford to do it, go to GoPro next year. It's going to be, I believe, November 16th. And sign up when you can and get that term abroad in Vegas where you can learn a perspective about the whole of network marketing, and you can learn about yourself and your life and get that personal growth and improvement that we all need. And we're hoping to get 2,000 LifeVantage people coming next year from 700 this year. We had a little meeting of only LifeVantage on a break, and we were allowed to say LifeVantage because we couldn't even say it. It was like being a secret agent for the whole 3 days. But when we were together on the break, everybody started screaming LifeVantage at the top of their lungs, and we had a great little mini meeting. So let's try to get 2,000 of us at the meeting next year. I'm planning on going. I just blocked the time in my office, and I hope to see every one of you there, and I hope you'll tell a lot of other people about how valuable it was. Next week, we'll go back to our usual format of information and inspiration. I will pick a article to go over for next week, and I'll let you know sometime later in the week what it'll be. Thank you so much for listening. It's an honor for me to have these calls, and have a great evening. God bless all of you.